Hello, my name is Emily Foley, and I'm Vice President Reporter of Mu Omega's chapter Beta Alpha Psi.
I'm Serena St. Sever, and I'm the Vice President of Community Service.
Today we'll be talking about our final report from our Inclusive Leadership event that we held last April on campus. We'd like to start by thanking you on behalf of Mu Omega's chapter and Stonehill College for your financial support of our Inclusive Leadership event. Our program activity was a terrific success and served as a great learning opportunity for students, faculty, and the administration at the college. We believe that our event will serve as the foundation for future inclusive leadership events at Stonehill that focus on gender biases and other workplace issues that matter to every student. Our business department has acknowledged the importance of topics highlighted in the event and is committed to making awareness of unconscious bias impacting working women as a priority in its educational efforts. We believe that our event, We Lead, Women Empowerment in Leadership, has had a significant impact and will continue to have an impact on the members of our campus in the future.
So in terms of some background on our project, this was inspired by the recent events of the pandemic. And inclusion and diversity is a very broad topic and has numerous areas to explore. The development of inclusive leaders is a fundamental part of the Mu Omega's chapter and Stonehill College's mission. In recent years, the college has dedicated ample resources to address the importance of inclusion of students' differences. As we began planning for this topic, we brainstormed some ideas of diversity that we feel have not had a huge emphasis in the classroom, however, are of great concern in the accounting profession. After considerable research, we identified the topic of working mothers and the advancement of women in the accounting profession. Issues surrounding gender biases and working mothers have been around since women began to enter the workplace. However, the recent pandemic has shined new light on these issues. In accounting specifically, women are vastly underrepresented in leadership positions. Historically, the accounting profession has been male-dominated and has left very little room for women leaders with their current organizational structure and unconscious biases plaguing employers. With this research, the planning committee decided to center an event around raising awareness of the numerous issues that women face in the workplace. We also felt that there should be a special focus on working mothers and their added struggles with the pandemic. With COVID-19 impacting the lives of everyone globally, we wanted to learn more about how mothers were being significantly impacted by the pandemic in the remote workplace. With these topics in mind, the Mu Omega chapter was determined to educate and empower the Stonehill student community by exploring the topics in a personal way. We wanted our event to be a discussion with actual working mothers who are top leaders in the field of accounting. We knew that presenting the statistics and policies to students would not be the most effective way to educate our community on this topic. We want to hold a forum where women can share their stories and share the best practices to make the workplace more inclusive and inspiring for women. Ultimately, our goals were for our students to gain awareness on unconscious biases impacting the advancement of women in the workplace. We wanted to give students the opportunity to network with alumni professionals to get a sense of how these issues may affect their careers after graduation. We also wanted to hold a conversation with the professionals which could potentially have a meaningful impact on student life and learning.
In February, we were able to hold a group discussion with our chapter to explore the various areas of the panel discussion and who our panelists would be. We also wanted to host a variety of working mothers who had worked and also led and mentored other women during the past 2 years. After more research, we started developing questions that could raise great discussion about the struggles these women face. Along with this research, we used our resources at the college to identify important themes. This led us to meet with our accounting professor, Solange Lopes, who is a CPA with experience in public accounting. Professor Lopes was a key resource as she has experienced the lack of resources and support for women throughout her career. She has also established a website to offer support, advocacy, and mentoring for other women. With her experience and insight, we were able to identify specific themes for the event. The themes were the current representation of women in leadership positions, the impact of unconscious biases on women's advancement, policies holding women back and also advancing them, and lastly, the importance of mentoring and role models. In March, we received the contacts of 7 professional mothers who've had different experiences in public accounting and academia. We wanted to hear from these women with their experience in finance, small business, as well as regional and large public accounting firms. Of these 7 alumni, 5 were able to participate in our event on campus. These panelists included Kim Daniels, Senior Vice President, Corporate Tax at Fidelity, Suzanne Ettinger, Associate Professor of Management at Stonehill College, Lauren Jackson, Senior Manager at Deloitte, Jessica Sacchetti, President at 2020 Services LLC, and Michelle Spriggs, Managing Director and Shareholder at CBiz and MHM New England.
So shown here is the advertisement that was sent around to campus. This gave a little bit of background on what the event was going to entail, along with the different panelists. And as I mentioned, this was extended to the entire campus for any students that wanted to attend. So in order to measure our success, at the beginning of the event, we started with a pre-event poll to measure the knowledge and awareness of the topics that we would discuss during the panel. This poll surveyed the audience's current knowledge about women's empowerment and representation. So overall, this poll revealed at the beginning that students were aware of the stereotypes and biases that impact women. They were moderately aware that women are not equally represented in leadership, slightly aware of the barriers that are holding women back, and they're mostly not aware of policies and practices that support women becoming leaders. So here are the results of some of the questions that we asked. Up at the top, we have, are you aware of any gender stereotypes in the workplace? Most people would agree that they were aware. Do you think that women are equally represented in the accounting field compared to male counterparts? 75.4% answered no. Then, do you know any barriers preventing women from becoming leaders today? It's almost 50-50, with 50.8% saying yes and 49.2% saying no. And do you know specific policies and practices that support the advancement of women in the workplace? The majority said no.
During our event, we asked the panelists these specific questions. What do you think the most significant barrier to female leadership or the most significant barrier in your career advancement? How did you navigate power structures early in your career versus later in your career when you had more formal leadership role? How do you balance your career, personal life, and passions? Is there such thing as a balance? How do companies have policies and benefits to make their career opportunities better for working mothers? How important is it to have a mentor to grow as a leader? And how can women support other women in the workplace? How do you stay mindful of who's at the table and who's missing? What do you think the pandemic's impact has been on working women and mothers in the workplace? What do you think companies and businesses should do in the post-pandemic era to improve the situation for working women and mothers? Could you discuss the positive and so needed impact of women on businesses from a practical and research point of view? What advice would you give the next generation of female leaders? And what has your experience of gender equity in academia, and what is your best advice related to it?
So after we finished the event, we had the attendees take another poll. And so the questions in this poll were, did today's event give you insight on women's leadership in accounting? Did you learn from the experiences of our panelists and how to better support women colleagues? And can you identify any policies or practices that support the advancement of women after hearing from our colleagues? So this poll did reveal a few things. It revealed that students learn ways to better support the advancement of women in the workplace. After the discussion, 97.7% of students could identify policies that support the advancement of women, and this is an 82.9% improvement from before the panel. And all attendees learned how to be better mentors for women in the future.
In addition to those yes or no questions, we also opened up a response question that was, what do you think is the most significant barrier holding women back from top leadership roles? And with the 45 responses, we just picked a random selection of these responses that told us a little bit about what the students and attendees learned. So I'm just going to go ahead and read those. So one person said the most significant impact holding women back is unconscious biases on working moms. In the workplace, employers assume that you want to stay home, so they may not consider you for promotions or advancements since you have children. Another student said the impact of COVID and childcare issues is preventing moms from advancing and is actually serving as an off-ramp from leaderships. Another student said the lack of role models prevents women from seeing the path to leadership, which makes it feel and look impossible to advance while keeping balance. The idea of having a family and being a leader in the workplace is difficult. The largest barrier is the stereotypes made about women. This keeps women from gaining the roles and titles they deserve. Another student said the assumption that a woman and a mother would be interested in a top leadership role may be holding her back. And lastly, the idea that women may not be able to do her job when she becomes a mother. So we just felt that these responses showed that students really learned the objectives that we were trying to serve throughout the panel. And then as far as unexpected outcomes, we did have some unexpected outcomes. We were surprised by the level of attendance and participations out of our students. As noted, we had 70 attendees, but we were surprised by the attendance of male students. For an event surrounded around women's empowerment, we were actually pleasantly surprised to see that approximately 40 of our student attendees were male, while 30 were female. And although our event was advertised to every student, we did also just focus on inviting clubs like Women in Business, Women in Finance. And because of this, we really didn't expect our demographics to be predominantly male. Although we were surprised by this, we were gratified to see such high levels of interest from male students in supporting women in the workplace and in being allies. In addition to having male and female represented in the audience, many of our students were from other majors other than accounting, and these majors included marketing, finance, data analytics, gender and sexuality studies, and management. Additionally, we were pleased to see that 61 people participated in the pre-event survey, which shows that our attendees were very involved and engaged in the event. Some other unexpected developments included the eagerness of our panels. When we initially planned the event, we thought it would be great to have just a few panelists. However, almost everyone we invited to the event accepted the invitation, and this impacted the length of our discussion because we wanted to allow every participant in the panel to have their perspective known. We also received some varying opinions on the benefits of remote working and staying at home while being a mom. And although remote work seems to be a flexible way to give women a better balance, it actually causes more stress for some of the attendees or some of the panelists. And some of the women on the panelists just had varying opinions on the matter. Although they have varying perspectives, the conversation was well taken by our monitor, and she was able to address follow-up questions to support both the perspectives, and this educated our audience about how assumptions on women's and working mothers' arrangements can be harmful to their careers as well. And here are just some photos. The planning committee and the leadership of the chapter dedicated a significant amount of time to the topics research and the events organization and also execution. And we feel that our dedications were well worth it, and we believe it added significant value to Stonehill's Meehan School of Business's educational experience. On behalf of the chapter, we would like to thank you again for this opportunity.